for having me at the last second. And I always love talking about real estate. I've been in the real estate since 2001, so I'm not new at it. So 19 years in the industry. I started out on the mortgage side of things, so I understand what mortgages are, how they work, and how they benefit, the different programs, and it's a tool. It's a tool to help somebody leverage to be able to buy an asset. So in this case, it could be an investment property, it could be a single family house for yourself, or a condo for a first time buyer. So what I seek to do is I seek to be that person's trusted advisor. In fact, the way I work my business is by relationship. So I'm looking to be able to build relationships with families, with individuals for life. So as long as they want or seek advice about real estate, I want to be their go-to person that they would call and say, hey, I have this question. I'm not looking to buy, I'm not looking to sell, but can you help me with this or help me understand this? I want to be that go-to person for every family, building relationships. And then the reason I do that is that I like to serve people, and I like to be able to be that person that they want to call to get that expert advice. And if they happen to run across anybody in their family or friends, I'd hope that they would refer them to me. So that's how I want to build my business. That way I'm accountable to them. This morning I want to talk to you about a buzzword that's hitting the market right now. It's called iBuyers. Have you guys heard of that term before?
No.
So Don has. Most people haven't heard it yet, but you will start hearing a lot about it. What's happening in the real estate space is that there are big tech companies throwing a ton of money at real estate to try to disrupt it. They're looking to be able to do in the real estate market a little bit like what they did in the travel industry. So they're looking to try to make it high tech and easy to, their goal is push a button, buy a house. Okay, I don't think that it's ever going to get to that, because you're talking about one of the biggest assets you'll ever own, and there's no way that you're just going to buy it sight unseen by pushing a button. It's not a vending machine. You need a live person. Yeah, I mean that's what they're trying, and I'll tell you, I don't know what the official term is. I've forgotten what it is, but there's a term. These big tech companies raise these huge venture capitalist monies, and they're throwing it without any expectation of a return on investment. So they actually plan for a 0% return on it, and they're willing to try anything, and they're losing money. For example, you guys have heard of Zillow before, right?
Yep.
So Zillow has never made money in their entire existence. Think about that. How much of a deep pocket do you have to be in business for 10 years and never turn a profit, ever? And all these other real estate companies, some have come and gone. The last time I talked with you guys, remember I talked about Purple Bricks? Mm-hmm. They exited the market because they were losing money really, really fast. So last year, Redfin, which is another tech company, they lost $54 million last year. And in the first quarter of this year, they lost an additional $34 million. So again, how long can somebody do this? Well, and they have deep pockets, and they're going to keep trying. And we're told that we're going to have to kind of last it out for another 2 to 3 years until they kind of figure out, like, you know what, we may need these realtor guys. So the thing about iBuyers is this, and I sent a piece, if you're on my mailing list, I'm happy to add anybody that wants to do it. I don't just plug you in without your permission. But I sent a piece out called The Truth About iBuyers. And really what iBuyers are is they're an online types of companies, various ones, of these big venture capitalists that are making instant offers on homes. So if you're a person or somebody that you know that kind of has a situation like, I need to dump this house quick, they'll go to one of these companies and they'll make them an instant offer. And most of the time, obviously, it's going to be lower, and there's fees attached to that. So one of the realtors I know wanted to know a little bit more about it and went on and said, I wonder what they would offer my house, and went through the process of getting an iBuyer offer on their house. She lives in a nice part of Long Beach, about $875 to $900 would be a fair market value. Their net, after their fees and stuff, was $680,000. Okay. All day long you could sell that, even in a desperate pinch, for $825, but that's what it would have been, and there was an 8% fee that was on top of that. So what we all kind of joked around is like, look, if I have a client or you have a client that wants to give a $900,000 house away for $680, call me, I'll probably buy it myself. Right? So, or probably any number of you that are like, hey, that's a good deal. And these guys, by the way, their whole intention is to turn around and sell it. They're not looking to build a portfolio. And they're not the traditional flippers where they're buying a distressed property that needs a ton of work to, where they're going to input, a lot of money into it and then turn around and sell it. These are companies that are looking for a fast turn. So I'll give you some stats on it. Last year, in 2018, there were 5.34 million existing home transactions. Guess how many iBuyer deals there were? 25,000. That's it. So it represented 0.2% of the market. And out of the 25,000, 15,000 were the purchases, and then 10,000 were the resales of that inventory. So it didn't even make up 25,000. And by the way, they're losing money at it. Again, they're trying to see if something can stick. So I don't want anybody to be kind of lured. That would be a way. I mean, people do have situations that do come up, and I'm just thinking, if you have anybody that's in a pinch like that, there are different strategies that I can help them explore and get them a lot more money than what they could get with an instant offer. If they truly have a situation like that, we can help them be able to avoid giving it away at an unreasonable price on that. Part of the goal that I have in my business is really to be that resource for people, to give them their options. Hey, have you, depending on their situation, maybe they would be better off not making a snap decision like that. Let's put a renter into it, stop the bleeding. I mean, there's different options, and I like to try to explore those options and see which is the best fit for them, and not try to take advantage of a situation. And that's where I feel like the iBuyers, sometimes they could come in and really step on somebody and just take an advantage of somebody, and I think there's a better way to go. So that's what iBuyers are all about on that. The market's good. Rates have been fantastic. They kind of bouncing around a little bit right now. The Fed just lowered their rate by a quarter point yesterday. That doesn't necessarily translate into mortgage-backed securities being that low. So those get traded every day, and based on what's happening in the bond market really is where those rates are coming from. But generally speaking, we're rates below 4%. That's a great time. When you do the mathematics of it, many markets around the United States, it's cheaper to buy a house than it is in rent. Okay, so rent in California, especially in the coastal areas where we are, have been going up and up and up and up, and that's because we've experienced a housing shortage since 2008 because the building of new units just haven't been able to keep up with the demand. And so supply and demand dictates whenever I've leased a property out for a client and you had 20 applications, how do you differentiate between candidates? Especially when someone's like, well, I'll pay you $100 more a month. And then the next guy says, well, I'll do $150. And so it ends up bidding up, just like a house value bids up, so does it happen in the rental market. So we've seen such a huge increase in that. The other thing that you've seen in the rental market is longtime tenants have been in place, and they're seeing rent increases because California is about to pass a statewide rent control. It's on the governor's desk right now, waiting to be signed. And when they do that, I can promise you this, it's not going to be good for the housing market in general. And it's because they're working on the wrong side of the economic. They're working on the demand side, and we should be working on the supply side. Yeah. Let them build more housing, and we would have less of this. Think about this. If a renter goes and there's 5 choices easily for them to do, they're going to pick which one works for their family. They're also going to be looking for the lowest rental rates. And when you have that much inventory available to them, you're going to have an owner that says, well, I'll drop my rate by 50, and it's the other way. So it ends up rents come down when you have an oversupply. And that's why they should be working on the supply side of things instead. So do you guys have any questions about real estate, the market? John?
This is kind of an oddball one, but I got a text message to my phone from somebody saying, are you the owner of, and then they had my my address, and if so, if you are, do you want to sell? And I'm like, the answer is no, Yeah. But like, that's the first time where somebody has actually got my cell phone number. Mm-hmm. In the past, there's been letters and
right.
Things like that, but like, is there technology that allows them to find
Yeah.
out your cell phone number?
Yeah,
Yes.
there is.
I can
So,
find your cell phone number in about 5 minutes.
yeah, there's reverse directories and all kinds of stuff, and people, like I had a client that I consulted with that their current realtor, let's just say, wasn't doing what they were expecting them to do, so they were looking to make a change at the end of it. And so part of our conversation was, there's a few things that you need to do to the house first before, but let me just warn you now that you're gonna get inundated with phone calls from real estate companies, because your listing's about to expire, and as soon as it does, your name hits like all these lists, but they have to go find your phone, and they'll use these reverse directories to go locate your information. And he said, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. They were calling my sister at work, and they were trying to reach him in all these different ways." It's because the information's out there to track someone down. Your cell phone is out there,
Right.
and they make that connection. And there's companies that specialize in getting people, and they pay for it. So that's why. So, and they're getting aggressive because there's more real estate agents in the market selling real estate now. Since 2008, it's been built up, and there's probably going to be more because everybody thinks it's easy. Stick a sign, sell a house, make some money.
Right.
But the average realtor in America right now, according to the National Association of Realtors, grosses, that's before taxes and expenses, grosses $30,630. That's gross. Okay, and it is gross. Because by the time you pay, I mean, there's no benefits, it's horrible. So there needs to be a change. The barrier of entry into real estate is pretty low. So they're looking at increasing fees, they're looking at increasing the education, because anybody can get a license and start practicing real estate. And there's an awful lot of people that do 0 to 1 deals per year. And I don't know how, they have a 0.5, but it's because some people are doing none that hold a membership with the National Association. So, any other questions? Yes,
So
sir.
what is the profile of an iBuyer? I mean, who would do that? And what is that?
A profile would be an estate, mom and dad have passed away, and you have out-of-state sellers like kids that don't know what to do with the property, and they're not seeking the right counsel, or their parent didn't have an estate plan of some kind to pass that down to the next generation. So they may still have a trust in California, which means the kids now own it. Doesn't have to go through probate, that is. And they're just looking to do something with it, and they're lazy. So rather than seeking out good counsel, they're willing to do the quick, easy route. So that would be a profile. But again, that's somebody that I'd like to talk to, because I can get more value for them than what an iBuyer. But an iBuyer's down and dirty, quick and easy, but you're going to lose a lot more in going that route. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
So what's going on with like Granny Flats in Orange County versus Los Angeles County? Is there some new laws coming online? Or?
Yeah, for example, Fountain Valley here has approved ADUs, so it's an additional unit on property, so they can build a separate unit to house mom or dad or both, or even have it as a rental flat. So that's being allowed, again, because we have such a shortage and a need for housing, that they're having to make these adaptations to be able to offer more housing opportunities. And in Fountain Valley has larger lots, Orange has larger lots. There's plenty of room in some of the cases to be able to build those without really affecting parking issues or anything like that. So that's what's happening. I think it's great, actually, because it increases the value of the property, and it serves a need for filling housing. I'm concerned, though, that the rent control is going to dent that, because some people will then pull that type of thing off of the rental market. If you're going to tell me that I can't rent it for what I want to rent it for, then they say forget it, and then it's going to make even less inventory.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think my time's about up.
Oh, no, we get another 30 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, if there is one more question, I'll take one more question.
What's your shirt say?
Land of Color.
There you go.
It's a friend of mine, band out of Tennessee. So.
Right.
Cool.
Can you sing us a song there?
Floating event.